Oh, what is up, everybody? I feel alive again. I feel human. It's amazing what a little bit of sleep does for an old man's weary bones. Yes, I feel more alive. Plus, we have some Cyberpunk to talk about, and that always invigorates me. Now, at the Tokyo Game Show, there was an interview done with the level designer, Max Pierce, and we are going to go through it. Now, the entire article is down below, if you want to read it for yourselves. We're kind of just going to pick out the bits that relate to what Max had to tell us. So let's dive straight into it, and then we'll sort of see what we think afterwards. I'll leave you a little spoiler warning. I'm very pleased with what I hear. Let's put it that way. So here we go. I can't say too much on it because it's still going through its process, but it's about making sure that multiplayer fits in with the lore of the world and it feels right. Good news. Let's carry on. It's about making sure it fits in with who we are as a company as well, because story is so important to us. Plus, it needs to fit in with how we design and deliver games. That's why it's so important to go through the R&D process. To make sure that we're not just throwing something in and that it feels like a CD Projekt Red multiplayer that has our beliefs and design philosophy. We've still got work going on. We're hiring to make sure that we get the right people for the job. The main focus is still single player right now, and we're making sure that people understand that this world is more than big enough for single player. Now, I will just touch upon that last bit to begin with. I think it's very sad that people have been coming out because they've said the world itself is actually smaller than The Witcher 3, but we have verticality. There's more in that world. It's not just a big expanse of fields. And people have come out and said, oh, it's smaller. If anything, if it's better, it always must be bigger. That's not always the case. Chill. There's a lot of games that have amazing depth and amazing replayability, and you can explore these smaller worlds and still be richly entertained and still have hundreds of hours of gameplay. There is a certain game that I played a lot of that I'm not going to mention its name because I promised myself I'm not going to do a Cyberpunk video and say that name. But you know, there are games out there. It doesn't need to be this huge world, and also it depends how rich, how deep, how much depth there is in this world. A game I compare it to, and it also ties back into the multiplayer itself, is Grand Theft Auto Online. Now, I'm not ragging on the world they've created. That is an incredibly amazing world. But it's a sandbox for you to play in. If you deleted that and started again and created, I don't know, London, or you created, the GTA equivalent of Paris or whatever, what you do in that world wouldn't matter. It would still be the same thing. It's just the backdrop, the eye candy is now slightly different. Whereas what they're trying to go for with Cyberpunk 2077 multiplayer is something that is true to the city, the world, the lore of Cyberpunk that Mike Pondswift created. And that fills me with huge amounts of excitement, not only for the fact that they are staying, you're not going to spend 2.8 million eddies, buy a military-grade jet and be able to fly around blowing things up. That's not in keeping with the lore. So they don't want to do something like that. It's got to be grounded. And that means that the city isn't just a backdrop. It is fundamentally part of who we are. It's part of our character. And I like that. And the reason that I look at GTA Online and think, there's no... It is entirely 100%. I know people probably get annoyed with me comparing the two, but it is a sandbox world. It is this world where really it's a backdrop for you to do the things you want to do. What I hope they're going for more in Cyberpunk is that it's a living, breathing world that you're part of, and there are gangs, factions, and corporations that you can intermingle with, and they have different quests for you, different things to do. And potentially it could be this gang who you're trying to work the way up with say, hey, we want you to do this job. We want you to go into this place and rob it. Let's go with what we saw in the gameplay trailer they did, which was you had to break into a shopping mall. An abandoned shopping mall that was full of people. You need to break in. So let's say now you've got to break into this shopping mall because there's an item in there, piece of information or a target that you have to kill, whatever it is, and you need to go in there and do this thing. Bear in mind we're talking multiplayer here now. So you get given this job. Now, all of a sudden, you could be, so you and your friend, you've got them, you're like, okay, look, we're going to do this job. Now, all of a sudden, there's somebody else on the server driving around in their car. They get a message come up. Yo, we've heard that, the Voodoo Boys are sending in one of their fixers to steal or to kill such and such. We need you to go in and make sure that doesn't happen. Alright? And you're like, shit, okay, yeah, I need to go do that. So you spin your car around and you head to that location. So all of a sudden you've got, because the NPCs have given you this thing to happen, it's literally just spur of the moment that this has happened. You then drive there with your mate to try and execute whatever it is the mission you've been given. And all of a sudden, just fluid, another player has turned up to try and stop you. And they're working with the NPCs that are already in the building. You're working against. And, that kind of dynamic is something that you don't get in GTA. You get it, with the, somebody's trying to steal this heist, and you can go and stop them, fly in a jet and blow them up and stuff. But this would be more grounded, more gritty, more part of a living, breathing world happening rather than something that's been sort of sellotaped on top. Now that, I like the idea of the lore, single-player, story-driven type experience that I can then expand out, and now I can bring my friends along. Now, I'm not saying that that's the way it's going to be. I'm not saying that's how it's going to work. But it excites me thinking that potentially we can have, because of their focus on the single player, because of their focus on the lore, and not wanting this, just having multiplayer for the sake of having multiplayer because you can sell things. Because yes, we all know they could easily sell apartments. Easy. Sell apartments, sell new cars, sell jackets and cosmetics. Especially now that everybody has said, oh no, you can't see your own jacket because you don't see your character in cutscenes and that because it's purely single, it's purely first person. Oh, but now that your friends can, so now there's a point to having these smart jackets and things. So yeah, you could have an online store rather than it just being let's make some cash with multiplayer. They want to do it the right way. Now, I don't deny that there may be, whatever, a new car you can buy with cash, a new apartment. Let's be honest, this is a business. They want to make money for it. And if that extends the longevity of the game, I'm all good with that. As long as it's within reason. I think GTA went too far. And for a lot of players, if you didn't cheat, then you need to buy credits with real cash, which I am wholly against. I think a game should stand up to its own merits. And if I can go into this world and I can, say, work my way up with a gang and then potentially work my way up with corporations, if I get to a certain level, then I can unlock a new apartment, things like that. I'd rather earn these rewards through status than through money. Because I think it means more. If I see somebody drive past me, I'm in Cyberpunk, I'm driving along and some guy goes past me and like this, I don't know, the corporate SUV, basically the mobile tank that the woman's got. So if I see some guy go past me in that, and I know that you have to get up to like level 100 with the corporation to even get that, I'm suddenly like, damn, that's impressive. Whereas, say, if I'm playing World of Warcraft and somebody goes past me on the tier